Hey, hello everyone, welcome back to the Cloud Ops Junction. So in this video, we are going to break down Azure routing and we'll understand how the UDR work, that is user-defined routes, what are system routes. We will walk through a demo as well. If you are wondering how Azure handle the traffic flow between VNets to subnets uh, or through the internet, then this video gonna help you out. So without wasting any time, let's understand first what is routing. So what is routing if I would say? Routing is say whenever the path of communication from point A to point B is known as routing. Whenever a virtual machine or resource in Azure sit inside a virtual network, which is further divided into subnets. So whenever one VM in one subnet wants to communicate to the another VM in another subnet, Azure automatically manages that communication using routing tables. These are called as routing tables, and these are also called the system routes. There are certain routes that are called as system routes. In Azure, each subnet has default routing table that contains system routes. So that is also called as system routes. So let's understand what is system routes first. And before that, routing we have already confirmed. System routes. System routes are the routing that automatically created by Azure to ensure the basic connectivity. So these include local VNet routing. So suppose there are local VNet within the virtual network that is taken care by the system routing. Automatically you can ping the machines, internet flow is everything is working. That is taken care by the Azure. This is called the system routing. Internet routing, by default the traffic to the public it's allowed, so that is also taken care by the system routing. Virtual network peering, so within the VNet whenever you create a subnet, the peering of virtual network is done by itself. That is taken care by the system routes. Default routes, default route is 0.0.0/0. Typically for internet, for the next hop, it usually a VPN gateway or a virtual appliances. So if you want to see the routes, if you want to view it, you can go to Azure portal, go to Network Watcher, and you can see effective routes. We can have that when we will be doing a demo. Now, this is a route that is created by the system. Suppose you created a virtual network. Inside the virtual network, you created three subnet. Within the three subnet, the network is taken care. I mean, uh, the peering is done. The machines are locally connected. The communication is happening. However, when you wanted that communication to be modified or you wanted to trump that uh, communication with some your own modifications, then what you need a user defined role. Suppose you don't want few of the machines to go to internet, you want to stop that. So how can you do that? You can create a system defined route, or you have a firewall in the picture. Suppose you wanted to do, suppose there is a VNet, there is a virtual machine A and a virtual machine B. You wanted whenever there is a communication happening, it should happen through the firewall. How this can be happen? This can be happen from UDR, that is called user defined route. So what is user defined route? User defined routes let you to override system routes and define your own rules to the traffic routing. Uh, you can actually redirect traffic through firewall or NVA that I have told you earlier. You can control traffic between east-west traffic, subnet to subnet. You can do that. Enable force tunneling on on-prem via VPN or express route. If you wanted to route or force your traffic to on-prem, you can actually do that. If you want to block a traffic to route to internet, that is 0.0.0/0, that you can easily do it. Uh, UDR basically consists of ID prefix, uh, CIDR range. Next hop type is usually a virtual appliance or a uh, network, virtual network or internet, or it could be none. I will let you know these things when we do a demo. Next hop IP address, usually a virtual appliance IP address that you wanted to have in between to route your traffic. So without doing a demo, we will not be able to understand what we are talking about. So let's do one thing. Let's create a environment and let's do a demo. So in our environment, what we will be having a VNet that range start from 10.0.0/16. Inside it, we can have three different subnet. One would be a public subnet, one would be a DMZ subnet, and one could be a private subnet. These are the IP address 10.1.0/24, 10.0.2.0/24, 10.3.0/24. Inside these subnets, we can have a virtual machine. Virtual machine VM1, VM DMZ, and VM3. So these are the IP address that we are going to assign to it. So if you see initially what is happening, if you want to communicate, they can communicate to each other. If you want, you can actually, these are communicating like this. Okay. You can communicating it like this. However, if you want that every single traffic that is going from VM1 should always go to DMG server, that is our Azure appliances, and then it go to VM2. For that, what we have to do it, we have to create a route. That is called as route. We will create first route. Suppose this is a routing table, we will create a route. Inside that route, we will mention whenever traffic that is coming to this IP address will pass from this one. Understood? So what we will do, we will create a route table. We will attach that route table to the VNet where we wanted to, sorry, we will attach that route table to the subnet where the affected resource would be going to communicate. And this is how it will work. All right, I'm on my Azure portal now. To save the time, what I have done, I have already deployed a virtual machine and a virtual network. If I click on virtual network, I have created a VNet. Under the VNet, I have created three different subnet. Same like as a diagram, we have created a public subnet, DMZ and private with the IP range 10.1.0.2, 2.0 and 3.0. If I go back, you will find public IP address 1.0, DMZ 2.0 and private is 3.0. Similarly, we have also deployed the virtual machines in a similar fashion. 1, 2 and DMZ. 1 is in public, 2 is in private, and DMZ is a firewall network that will work as a firewall. So if I go back to our VMs, what we wanted to achieve? We wanted to achieve whenever a traffic is going from VM1 to VM2, it should go from VM1 to DMZ and DMZ will forward the traffic to VM2. For that, what we have to do again, we have to create a route table and we need to attach that route table to subnet 1. Let's go and find out how the machine is communicating right now. So to that, what we have to do, we have to connect to their virtual machines and see that. So I'm logged into my virtual servers. Let me open the command prompt and type the host name. So I'm connected to VM1 and the IP address of this virtual machine is 10.0.1.4. Let's connect to VM2 as well. Yes, that's the VM2 and the IP address is config 3.1. Let's go back to the VM1 and try to do a traceroute. Traceroute command is a network utility used to trace the traffic path or packet taken from one computer to another. It's actually display the routes. I mean, what route it is taking, how many hop counts are there, and how it is going it. So let's try to do a tracer TRACERT 10.0.3.4. I think that was 4. So right away, what it is saying, traffic route to VM2, we are connected to VM1 as of now, and it is in the single hop, it is connecting to VM2. That means the traffic is not going through the DMZ server, the appliance that we are going to configure. Now what we will do, we will configure our appliance. To do that, what we will do, we will create a route table. All right, so we will use the routing RG. Most of the resources we have created on East US2, we will give it a name. route hyphen tb route table. Next, review and create. Once this is created, we have to define the route. Okay, and once the route is defined, we have to attach this route table to the subnet. Okay, let's do that. So the route table is created. Let's go to the route table. And now what we will do, now let's go to route table and let's create the routes. So what route we have to create? Now we have to give a route name VM1 to VM2. This is the route that we want to create. Okay, this is the name that basically I'm giving. Now you have to give the destination type where you wanted to connect to. So actually what I wanted to connect is I wanted this traffic to go to this traffic. Okay, so the IP is 10.0.3./24. IP address range 10.0.3./24. Okay, next hop is our virtual appliances. What is the IP of virtual license? 10.0.2.4, I guess. Let me quickly verify. 10.2.4. So that's what we are giving. So what we are doing, we are creating a route. The destination IP is the subnet range of our private subnet 10.0.3.0.24. Next hope is our virtual appliances and the IP address of the virtual appliances. Let's do it. And once this is created, we have to attach it to the subnet network, to a subnet. Let's go and attach to it to our private public subnet. Now it is created. Now, once this is done, we have to enable the IP forwarding. We have to enable IP forwarding on DMZ server. Let's go back to the DMZ server and we go to the networking settings. We have to click on the network interface. We have to click this enable IP forwarding. Applied. There is one more settings that we have to do is that is we have to enable routing, IP routing enable. To enable the IP routing on system, what we have to do is we have to create a registry value called IP enable routing and we have to make that value as a 1. For that you can use Windows registry editor or you can use a PowerShell command to do that. For us, what we will do, we will use the PowerShell command and run it on our DMZ server. So we are on our DMZ server now. If I go on system and if I see this is our DMZ server. Now we will copy the command or a PowerShell command to run it. So I have already run it. Once this command is run, what we have to do, we have to restart our virtual appliance or the virtual machine so that the registry couldn't take place. So what we will do, we will restart the virtual machine. And once the virtual machine is restarted, we will go back to our VM1 and see if we can trace route to the VM2 and the hop that we are getting, it should go from VM1 to VM2 and VM1 to DMZ and DMZ to VM2. So there should be 2 routes. Now let's wait for 2-3 minutes. Let's wait to our server to come up and then we will start. So it's been a while. I think our server is up and running now. Let's connect to our server. So we are on our VM1 once again, and let's try to run the trace RT on 10.0.3.24 3.4, which is our VM2, and earlier when we have run the trace RT, it is connecting, it was routing to VM2 directly without in a single hop. And let's do it. And if I do it right now, it went to our DMZ server, and after that it went to our VM2. So now how the traffic is routing? From VN1 it is going to DMZ, and from DMZ it is going to VM2. All right. So this is how you will create the route tables and the UDR and how it get implemented. Now, before moving further, let's do one more thing. I wanted to show you something. Let's go back to the Azure. Let's go back to the virtual machines. And if I click on a DMZ server, and if I click on, if you want to see where the routes are defined and everything, click on network settings. Under network settings, we have to go to the network interface. So whenever a route is created, it's actually created on your, it is created and it is attached to, indirectly it is attached to your network interface. And if I go to a network interface, and if I scroll it down, we will found the effective routes. You will see whatever the routes that is created by systems as well as user defined route, the UDR, you will be able to find it out here. Now let's see the source type. This is default. State is active. This is the IP address and it's the virtual network. So what says? Source says whenever there is a default route that is says that this route is created by system. This is system defined routes. Currently it's active. IP address range is 10.0.0./16. That means, and it is, what is the next hop? It is, the next hop is virtual network. That's the reason whenever we create a virtual network and we put the subnet inside it, it has a automatically peering because there is a default system routes defined to it. Now, if I go to second one, it will says default active. What it says 10.0.0/0, and it's going to internet. That means if we are doing something, if we are resolving something, this will first check these all routes, and then if it is not going to find, then accordingly it will send the traffic to internet. Now what is none? Traffic routed to none next hop type is either dropped or routed outside the subnet. Okay, so basically the traffic got dropped out here, or if it is not finding anything, then the traffic will go to the internet. This is what it is doing. So under DMZ, you will not find the UDR because UDR we have created and we have attached to the subnet 1, and subnet 1 was coming, the VM1 was coming into their public subnet. Let's go to the VM1 and see if we can find the, we will go to the network settings, network interface, effective routes, and now here we will find that UDR will be created. Same, we have default internet and then we have none. But if we scroll it down, you will find a user, that is called user defined route, where we have created, we have pointing the traffic to our subnet 3 from virtual appliance, and this is the IPs. Next hop is 2.0.2.4, that is the virtual appliance IP address, and this is the name of the UDR, user defined route. All right, so that was a small introduction, but before we wrap up this section, there are some best practices that I would say you should take consider before doing any deployment or while creating routes. So do not overlap UDR with the system routing unless it is very necessary. Second is always test with network watcher. Use NVA to ensure IP forwarding is enabled on the VM. Use NSGs and UDR through full traffic control. You have to use the combination of both. You have the UDR plus NSGs. Avoid black holes. Black holes are where you are blocking the internet traffic. Okay, make sure you do that. Now, Azure, if I summarize quickly whatever we have discussed so far, Azure route traffic automatically using system routes. If you want to do a custom routing traffic, that for that you have to create the UDR. Second, great for firewall integration and hybrid connectivity and advanced security if you want to have in your environment. We saw a working demo where we have seen the effective routes in actions, like we have seen it on VM1 and DMZ servers, how the effective routes are there. So that was a small introduction video or a small overview about UDR. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful day.